After one miscarriage, an unexpected C-section, and a VBAC that left me injured in multiple ways, I am happy to say I finally got the labor and delivery I always wanted. Hey y'all, what's up? It's me, Miss Ruby. Welcome back to my channel if you've been here before, and if you're new here, what's up? It has been a long minute since I sat down and made a YouTube video like this, probably about a year now. Life has just been lifing, y'all, but I have been on Instagram heavy. I went on TikTok. It's a whole lot going on. So follow me on my other social media accounts because I'm a little bit more active on there these days, but I am looking forward to making weekly videos here on YouTube. So getting started with this one, the reason why I wanted to make this video is because becoming a mother has changed my life in more ways than anything else, right? But going through this third pregnancy was absolutely the most depressing pregnancy that I've ever had. And it was really hard for me to believe highly about the outcome that was going to be rendered, especially since I had blessed but not necessarily enjoyable experiences with my last two labors. To give you an idea, I left the hospital both times, actually all three times, almost in tears, or at least just kind of in a down mood. Whereas this time around, I left the hospital smiling, kikiing, taking pictures. It was just like a whole night and day different. And so I want to talk to you guys about really the spiritual involvement that took place in my life, which I believe played a major role in the outcome of my labor and delivery. So what is the delivery that I've always wanted? Well, I've always wanted an all-natural, unmedicated delivery. Yes, the cherry on top would have been like a home birth delivery situation, but I always wanted at least that. So with my first child being delivered via C-section, that means that I was fully medicated and I came out of that C-section like just kind of jacked up. Like I wasn't expecting it. It was a lot that went on. With my second baby being born via VBAC, that was really good because I wanted a VBAC, but I think it was one of those situations where I wanted it so bad and I really, really wanted to hold on and be strong that I pushed for it. And I didn't spend too much time educating myself about that type of delivery because I just felt like where there's a will, there's a way, and as long as I stand my ground, then I will get what I want, right? But when I made it to the hospital, even though I was doing really well with my progression and I ended up making it to 9 centimeters with no medication, I just couldn't handle it anymore. So I let them give me the epidural, not realizing that that was going to render me unable to feel myself when it was time to push, you know? And so I ended up pushing really hard, really long with my second baby, and that is how I ended up with a couple of injuries. One of those injuries ended up being this Diastasis Pubis Symphysis situation where basically my pubic bone split open a little wider than it's supposed to. It rendered me unable to move the way that I was supposed to be able to move after pushing a baby out, and I had to do physical therapy. It was extremely painful. It was a lot. So there was that, and then shortly after I started to experience symptoms of prolapse, and I asked about it. I got checked on it. They said it wasn't prolapse, but as the years went on and once I got pregnant with this baby, about halfway through the pregnancy, I started to experience prolapse symptoms again. So that was confirmation that that did happen. So this time around, I'm like, if I could just deliver this baby naturally without any medication and vaginally so that I don't have to recover from a C-section, that would be such a blessing. But as the pregnancy progressed, more and more signs started pointing to the possibility and the likelihood that I was going to end up with another C-section, which meant I would be fully medicated and having to recover from all that and possibly still even injuring myself just because I'm carrying a heavy baby. So it was nearing the end of 2022. I had been doing some traveling. I felt like my body was finally getting back to where it once was. I felt a lot more inspired and motivated to make content again, and I kind of started kicking things back in gear. My husband and I had talked about having another child, but only because I knew that deep down he probably wanted another kid, and I was cool with 2. But I always tell him, like, if you're gonna want more kids, let me know now, because I don't want to be waiting forever and get accustomed to like my kids growing up and here I am like stuck again dealing with the baby stage. So I talked to him about it. He was like, right now is not a good time. So I was like, okay, cool. We're just gonna table this, right? A couple weeks later, we got pregnant. Now he blames me, I blame him. I don't know whose fault it was, but I'm sure that it was God. It was God. But I will say that as soon as I got pregnant, I was like fearful. I cried quite a bit and I was apologizing to my husband, but I was crying because I'm just like, I don't know how we're gonna do this. We had just recently sold our house. The economy went haywire. I knew that it was going to be nothing but God that got us through. So I just gave it to God immediately in the beginning, and I was like, God, you're just going to have to carry me through this one. And I had spoke over myself like, what the enemy is not going to do is ruin this pregnancy for me. Like, I can't allow that to happen. The baby doesn't deserve for me to sit here and be depressed about having her the whole pregnancy. So I did speak that over myself very early on. But there was a lot going on in my life. You know, my grandfather had died. I found out about his death literally the morning after we conceived. We knew when we conceived. It was kind of crazy. And between the hormonal changes, the nausea, the fears, everything, I ended up finding out I was having a girl. That was a whole moment. I did post that video. I cried so much because that was just another thing. I feel like deep down, like, I really don't want to have to do this again. Pregnancy has always been really hard on my body, but I don't want to be selfish. But it's like, if you give me another girl, I know that deep down I might want to try for a boy again. And also, I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to be an excellent wife and mother the 2 girls I already have. I'm dealing with all types of trauma from my past and struggling to be feminine and all these things. How am I going to raise a house full of females? In addition to that, with my husband and I working through, the kinks of our marriage, I just decided midway through the pregnancy to just continue to give it to God. But when it came to like that last month or 2 is when I really went into heavy prayer. I was telling people to pray for me. I was finding out more and more information about uterine prolapse, which definitely did not encourage me at all. I was preparing my mind to have to deal with this prolapse situation for the rest of my life. And I just started to focus on that a lot, on top of worrying about the diastasis coming back and dealing with little symptoms of that, letting me know that it's on its way back. And so I'm trying to manage all this pain, discomfort, and concerned about the possibility of prolapse getting worse after I deliver this baby. So with all that information, I ended up going ahead and telling my OBGYN to just schedule me for a C-section, because I was told that the likelihood of making prolapse worse was very high if I delivered vaginally. This really broke me. I cried a lot about it, but I was pretty much at a point where I'm like, you know what? I be holding on real strong to having things go my way. And, I tried to do all of these things with my first couple of deliveries and still ended up in unexpected situations. So, I'm just going to look ahead of me, and I'm just going to see what God has right before me. By the way, that's a life lesson that I did learn in this season. Oftentimes we're planning ahead, we're hoping, and a lot of times that leads to a lot of anxiety, because when we condition our plans around what we can see, what we know for sure, it's really difficult to have faith and to operate in faith, because you're going to look at the circumstances that exist currently, and you're going to try to imagine the possibility of other things in the future, and sometimes those thoughts will stress you out. But when you just decide, like, God, I'm gonna give it to you, I know that your will is for my good and I trust you, then instead of trying to plan ahead and being concerned about not having all the pieces to the puzzle and what if this doesn't work out and what am I going to do in this situation, you simply look at what's right in front of you and you decide based on the information that's right in front of you, and that informs what you do, but it does not inform what you believe. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not yet seen, right? So having faith means I can decree and declare, I can request confidently, God, this is exactly what I want, which is what I did. I went to God and I said, this is what I want. I would love to be able to deliver this baby and be healthier and happier than I ever have been. I would love for this baby to be healthy and for my body to be healthy, because I have a whole family to take care of. Lord, please hear my heart in this. I know you can do it. When it came to the prolapse, I'm looking at all the information and I'm just like, I'm going to pray one of those unreasonable prayers, right? One of those prayers where you ask God to do the impossible. At this point, with all the information I heard about prolapse, I'm like, it doesn't really seem possible that I'll be able to get around this. I'm probably just going to have to work through this. But God, you can do the impossible. And so I gave it to God. And that was a really big moment for me. I probably did that 2 weeks before actually going into labor. Now, I get that sometimes we pray for things and God doesn't always say yes, or he doesn't always say yes in the moment. But this was one of those situations where I feel like God thoroughly heard my prayers, and he did the impossible. When I tell you guys, I ended up going into labor with this baby. It was the shortest labor ever. I labored for 3.5 hours. It was extremely painful, but because it happened so fast, I didn't even have time to get prepped for a C-section, which meant I was forced into a natural delivery. And because I knew that I was going to deliver vaginally, and by the time I made it to the hospital, I was 9 centimeters, then I rejected the option to get the epidural because I didn't want to repeat what happened with baby number 2. Finally got through the labor, and I ended up pushing her out all natural vaginally with no medication. I met my baby, we had our time together, our bonding time, and I'm kind of sitting around in the back of my mind preparing myself to be in a lot of pain because the pubic bone issue that I had previously experienced. I expected it to be worse because that's what happened with baby number 2. But lo and behold, I didn't experience any excruciating pain. I wasn't any on intense pain medication at the time. The only thing I was starting to experience pain from was obviously the stitches and, you know, the fact that I just pushed the baby out, but nothing with my pubic bone. I was able to get up. I was able to use the bathroom, take care of myself. It was shocking. I felt good. I didn't feel depressed. I didn't feel lethargic. I was doing my best to eat as healthy as I could. Mind you, this time around, I understood a lot more about health and wellness, and I talk about that a lot on my Instagram if you guys want to follow me there. And I can make videos about whatever you want, you know, after this video as well. But, you know, learning how to eat to sustain my health was probably a major player for me in this pregnancy. And so I just felt great, you know. Fast forward to my 6-week appointment to go and see my physical therapist postpartum, and I saw her and she looked at me and she's like, honestly, like you do still have uterine prolapse, but the symptoms apparently are gone, and I'm looking at you and it doesn't even seem like it's really an issue. And since then, we've just been doing our appointments, we've been doing different physical therapy techniques, and she's been telling me, like, you're doing so good. Whatever it is that you're doing, like, keep doing it, because usually people are in much worse situations than you, but like, you're doing amazing. And I am just so excited to share this information because I truly believe that it was nothing but God. The fact that almost everybody that I learned about when it came to uterine prolapse were experiencing worse issues after delivering their babies, and I am not. The fact that the pain from the pubic bone separation was not present. Mind you, it did come back for a few days, about 2 weeks postpartum, and that probably requires a whole additional video of why that happened, but it was more about something that I was doing. But nonetheless, it ended up going away. The fact that I pushed my baby out vaginally, which is what I wanted, and I didn't end up having to get a C-section, and I didn't end up loaded up with a bunch of medication, which I think really contributed to me being able to bond with her and feel good, you know, just hormonally. The fact that I was able to recover very, very well. I mean, yes, we sold our house, but it allowed us to relocate, which means I'm closer to friends and family, and I've been able to receive a lot more support this time around. The fact that I've been able to just have a smile on my face every single day postpartum is just nothing but God. This was the darkest pregnancy I'd ever gone through, and I feel like I am in the lightest time of my mom life. And I just wanted to share that with you guys in hopes that it can inspire some of you who may be going through a dark time. This is not the end. Give it to God. Read your Bible. Trust in the things that you're reading. Send up your prayers. Truly understand and believe what God can do. Accept whatever it is that God tells you, be it yes, no, or not right now, and understand that it is for your good. And I truly believe that you too could experience this type of joy. This is not the type of joy that comes from just getting everything that I wanted. I also wanted an amazing pregnancy, but I didn't get that. I had a really daunting pregnancy. But I think the key is that I never lost faith. I never stopped praying. I never stopped looking for opportunities to improve my state of mind and to come into alignment with the will that God had over my life and to try. And I really think that that is the key recipe to just take with you in every facet of life. So I'm gonna let you guys know. Thanks for listening to me rant. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok. I might start uploading there soon, who knows, but definitely subscribe to me here on YouTube and leave your requests in the comments below. God bless you.